We've talked about gaming, we've talked about morons, we've talked about streamers, and we'll talk about gaming again in time. But right now, it's time to go back to VTubers. Good grief, do these ladies never learn? Now, it should go without saying, but the VTubing industry is powered by one thing above all else: art. And of course, as a concept fueled by creativity, originality will inevitably start and continue to run thinner and thinner. We see this with anime, a medium that also happens to give copious amounts of inspiration to the VTuber art industry, and suffers from what we'll just call the Kirito clone effect, where two characters have a striking resemblance. This occurrence bleeds over into the VTuber art industry as well, which in turn tends to lead to various cases of infighting amongst the content creators and artists of the industry. This ties into one of our two main characters, and unlike the Cinder drama, we only have these two, for better or worse. The thing about VTuber models is that they are very expensive and take a lot of time to make, often costing thousands and sometimes, under the worst of cases, taking over a year to produce. This dilemma led to some practical solutions. Two noteworthy ones in particular. First one being pre-made models, which are still pricey but ready to go, with one caveat. That being that it can be bought by others and is not your sole property. Second being adoption. It involves creating a general concept being made so that the artist who made the model or models can sell it at a price set or have a customer make an offer for it. Utainzi did just this, posting her two pieces for people to pick one if they wanted to get a new model design. And that's it. Everyone lived happily ever after and no one was an idiot. End of video. Thanks for watching. Psych! Of course not. Peace is never an option in the VTuber community. See, Utainzi's art would be noticed by a larger presence, known as Melly. And you see, Melly is crazy. Right off the bat, she opens with an infuriatingly cringe post, where she very clearly and heavily implies that Utainzi copied and plagiarized her art. This is a very dangerous move to make unless you have some concrete proof. But rather humorously and even refreshingly, the community saw through this in an instant and wasn't having it for even a second. Delete this shit. Your concept and design is generic as fuck, and there's a plethora of artists that could follow your same logic and accuse you of stealing their design. There's no 100% original design, it's all similar to one another in one way or another. Do not start this, oh my fucking god, I am so tired of seeing people accuse artists of stealing designs. Can we please stop doing this? Melly was insistent though, as she doubled down and provided the aforementioned concrete proof that we needed. Yeah. Too bad she didn't wait for the concrete to dry before dirtying her shoes. Of course, I don't own the concept of Red Demon Girl, but it's so on the nose I can't turn away. The colors are similar, the pigtails, the broken horn on the exact side, the earrings, the torn wings, mismatched leggings, ribbons on the sleeves, the shoes. I'm just a bit sag. So we'll do a side-by-side to really point out how ridiculous this is. First off, the leggings are mismatched, but certainly not identical. Melly's design has scars all over the body, something that is noticeably lacking on the supposed similar Red Demon. How do these earrings look anything alike? And then the biggest stretch of all, you got this slightly chipped horn that ain't so pointy, and then this absolutely fucked up and completely broken off horn. How do those look alike? These similarities she's drawing here just don't exist. This is like taking a car with a flat tire and a car that is just completely destroyed in a crash. With enough mental gymnastics, sure, you could say they are both broken. But are they really that indistinguishable? This right here is why it's safe to conclude that Melly has a few screws loose. Melly heard the mainstream media say, "Don't believe your lying eyes," and was like, you know what? They cookin'. The real ones can clearly see that these designs do not look anything alike. The people who saw this were also quick to ratio Melly. No one saw plagiarism, but rather a bigger and more influential creator trying to manufacture contention and send harassment towards a smaller creator. Nevertheless, Utanzi either felt guilty, thought she was in the wrong, or was looking to take the high road and be civil as she dropped the source of her information, alongside an apology and explanation. I just wanted to share what inspired me, and I'm sorry if it turned out we were inspired by something similar. I adjusted some of the details you mentioned because creating original characters is very important to me. I hope you understand. It makes me sad since this could have been resolved in DMs. I even made a post about this recently. I hadn't seen their design and it's unfortunate it happened. And then requotes something she said in the past. Fun fact, there are millions of artists who design characters, and sometimes two people can create almost identical designs without ever seeing each other's work. The world is big and ideas often overlap, so it's nice to remember this before thinking someone copied someone. As it so happened, it had nothing to do with Melly. She was met with sympathy and reassurance that she was not in the wrong, a fortunate response, because let's be real, she was just minding her own business and posting art for the sake of doing her job. By apologizing without need, she'd even positioned herself as a reasonable person. Conversely, Melly only seems to spiral into insanity more and more as we fall deeper into this tale of tragedy. Going so far as to insist she won't be gaslit into thinking these two pictures that obviously don't look alike are anything less than complete and total twins. Never have I said I own the concept of red demon girl with pigtails. What the frig? The similarities to my own design merely made me baffled and saddened because no matter how different it was adjusted, it very much felt the same. I won't be gaslit into thinking anything else. Ah, Melly, no one's gaslighting you except for you. As time progressed, Melly would go to sleep and she'd be in for a real special yet unwelcome surprise. Many saying you just woke up to the consequences of your actions. And you best believe she tripled down. Now Melly could have taken a step back and a deep breath and just apologized and everything would just be fine. Everyone would just be on their way. Yet this is not someone who is capable of self-reflection. I think she's made that pretty apparent. And we can look at this reply to really hammer that point home. Also, I hate the whole "it should have been kept private" because I don't know this person. I don't want to know this person. They made me feel uncomfy. I don't want to message them, period. I said my piece and will continue to be the red demon with pigtails. What a moronic stance. You make a public insinuation of plagiarism, but are blatantly unwilling to squash the perceived slight in private. You must not care as much as you claim either if you can't even associate yourself with the perceived aggressor for the sake of civil discourse and conflict resolution. It just seems like you want the attention and relish the chance to thin out the competition by pushing Utanzi out of the online space. Melly would go silent for a full week. No posts, no content, no art, no nothing. Eventually though, Little Miss Crazy would come back to us with this. In the early morning of September 1st, I nearly made an irreversible decision on my life. I've since been recovering and surrounding myself with friends and loved ones who are helping to keep me company. I got a glimpse of a few messages I got from friends online and want to thank you so much for reaching out. I'm sorry I couldn't respond, but I hope I'm able to in the coming days as I slowly regain the strength to do so. I 100% should have dealt with things privately or at the very least ignored and moved on, but that just wasn't the case. I'm keeping the post up unless asked to be taken down so people can get the context if needed. I love the VTuber art community so much, but to feel the sheer cruelty the community can carry left me wanting to step away from engaging in it. So to protect my health, my friend will be stepping in for me and going through my messages and blocking those who took things too far or were cruel to an unimaginable degree. They will also be managing my Twitter till the foreseeable future, so if there's any business inquiries, etc., they will still be passed along to me, just sifted through by my friend. Thank you to those who waited for me. I've got a lot more art and silly things to share in this world still. Now look, it can be stressful to get a lot of hate on the internet, and anxiety and stress can run hot as a result. But some folks love to be the victim, and Melly is no exception. If you need to tell the world that your friend is going to start censoring valid criticism that you rightfully earned, then that just shows a complete inability to take accountability, and that you're probably just a little too thin-skinned for your internet profession. It's stories like these that make me have a sliver of faith, not so much in humanity itself, but in the idea that we can go back to a sane society. People are, and reasonably so, tired of this kind of bullshit. If you enjoyed the video, then it's time to give up your humanity and become a mermaid. Anyways, I'll see you folks later. Take care of yourselves.